Neil Ross here, and it's time to get altered and get geeky on Altered Geek with Steve Megatron.
You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek, the podcast that is ever altering its structure and the conversations on our geekdom. We discuss anything from television and film to gaming, streaming technology, and simply put, things we geek out to. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and as always, thank you for tuning in. This episode is the second episode we've done with this new format, and we're going to see how things go. And just as a reminder, there will be a little bit of an extended conversation with a topic on scripting, podcasting, to do with like skits, and then some of our favorite TV revivals and whatnot. So stay tuned for that with DJ Valentine at the end. So without further ado, if you're looking to interact with the show, you can basically find everything at geekcastradio.com. But if you'd like to interact with the show, you can do so with me on Twitter at SCP21. Let me know what you think about this episode or any of the previous episodes, and sound off. Just let me know what you guys want to see in the future episodes, and what you liked specifically about this one, whether it's the fact that we've been changing hosts every week, or just the topics, or the structure, just really anything. So we're going to get over to the question of the week. So with the question of the week, I asked, what are some comics you wish to see hit the big screen? And nobody answered. So we're going to move on to a different question, which I'm hoping will garner some attention, which is, what do you think about Black Friday, and is it still relevant to you? A few weeks ago, BusinessInsider.com had an article called Black Friday is Dead Because of Discounting, which kind of remains to be seen. Yes, a majority of stores will be closed for Thanksgiving. According to bestblackfriday.com, at least 60 retailers plan to keep their stores closed during Thanksgiving this year, which more or less was like the early sale for Black Friday. But they're also stating that year-round deals and the growth of online shopping have taken the pressure off Black Friday. And that according to Retail Next, the number of people visiting stores on Black Friday declined 4.5% in 2017. Meanwhile, online sales to that day were up 16.9% versus the previous year, according to Adobe. The only thing that's kind of weird about that is they're making it out like people have significantly dropped off Black Friday when they haven't. All it did was put a more relaxed approach to the Thanksgiving opening. And it doesn't, and they're saying that, oh, they're losing confidence in Black Friday. Not really. I mean, the stores are still going to do their sales. They're still going to be boosting. A lot of retailers are going to be out there. The thing is they just won't be wasting time on Thanksgiving, which honestly, I thought they should have been closed anyway, because then families could spend time with, their family members. Like employees can spend time with their families. Like I don't know. That's just my thought on it. I wasn't one of those people that went out and shopped on Thanksgiving. I'd go like Black Friday, like early in the morning before anybody else, and get my crap situated before. But I pretty much do online now. Like that's kind of where it's at. So what do you guys think on it? Do you think that it's slowly starting to taper off? I mean, I know that it's not dead according to the article, but do you think that it's going to kind of turn the tide with more online shopping, and that we'll see a bigger decrease this year on Black Friday? Or do you think that it's going to make a little impact? So let me know what you guys think in the next episode. So we're going to be going to the app of the week. So, this week on App of the Week, or Program of the Week, Scanner51 asked, are there any recommendations on free photo editing software that I can download to a desktop? I want to resize, recolor, alter photos. Picasa was shut down, and that's what I like to use. Myself, I'm actually using an antiquated Adobe Fireworks program, which is it was owned by Macromedia way back in the day before Adobe bought them out, and then merged all of the Simplistic settings into like Illustrator and everything. But there's quite a few alternatives. Like there's Paint.net, which seems to be one of the possibilities or options. They say Google Photos is kind of the next translation of Picasa, but I don't really buy it. But Paint.net seems to be pretty intuitive and streamlined, as it were. You can kind of clean up images. You can, make high quality images, touch up photos. It's kind of a nice alternative. It's been around for a while. You can add special effects. There's a lot of tools and a lot of layering. But it's free and it's a photo editing software. That's one of the options. And there's a lot of tutorials and all this stuff, a lot of plugins around it. You can zoom in. There's just a lot of functionalities, but it's basically for any version of Windows. It's not really a big install. It's free, but it's very reminiscent of old school Microsoft Paint, kind of mixed with the MS Paint in the Windows XP through Windows 7 iteration. And it's okay. Like there's another editing software that comes with Windows 10. I'm not too familiar with the latest iteration. I don't think that it's worth putting all the effort into. But there's also another program called GIMP, which has been around. I couldn't even tell you. It's been around since like the 90s. And I remember using some version of it at one point to create icons back on Windows 95, 98. And it was pretty intuitive back then, and you could use some like kind of squares and kind of build stuff with it. But it's kind of, it's pretty much out there all over the place. It does plugins, it does a lot of other stuff, very modular based, it's got free floating windows, a toolbox, quickly loads. There's a lot of filters, a lot of processing for images. It's basically like one of the better alternatives for expensive packages. They have very high ratings on this software anyway, and you can download any of these anywhere. I'm going to have them in the show notes. But it's GNU Image Manipulation Program, freely distributed, modular, expandable, extensible, image renderer, expert quality photo retouching program. I would honestly probably go with this software over the other one. Just because of what it has to offer and the kind of features that you're looking to do. I use another software that's called Photo Scissors, and it's like $10, and I get like periodically I'll get an email from the site I bought it from. But you can basically cut out like any background from anything, and it gets the most finest detail, like when you draw around it, and it just looks like you taking a marker and drawing around the image. But it simplifies cutting out a background from things. So that's another option too. And like I said, that was like $10. But yeah, that's kind of what I would recommend. I would probably go with GIMP. And then if you're kind of on the fence, there's a couple alternatives, with, Paint.net, which has been around for a while. And then there's, Photoscape, which is another freebie that's been around for a while, which is a full suite of tools for editing, enhancing photos, and doing various other photo editing that you would do on any other program. But one of the major capabilities with this is it's a viewer, it's an editor, batch editor. You can combine images, animate GIFs, split images, screen cap, convert, resize. So I mean, really any of these programs, any of these three are really going to do what you're trying to do. This one has red eye removal specifically listed and backlight correction, so it just kind of depends. I would recommend at least trying some of them out and kind of seeing how you like it. Although the latest Photoscape program came out in 2014, so GIMP is probably your best bet out of all of them, and it's got the 5-star stamp of approval from the editors of CNET and 5 stars from the users, so I would probably pick that one over the others. So I hope that helps, and we're going to go to the hot topics of the net. So there's a lot of stuff that's pretty much hot topic of the net all the time, but putting that aside, in the technology department, Apple and Samsung were fined by Italian authorities over slow phones. They've been fined millions of euros each by Italian authorities for planned obsolescence in smartphones. Apple was hit with a 10 million euro fine, while Samsung received a smaller bill of 5 million euros because they claimed that they implemented unfair commercial practices, saying that software updates were said to have slowed the performance of older phones, causing serious malfunctions and significantly reduced performance, which provoked users into upgrading their phones. It says the companies encouraged users to upgrade operating system software, but did not make clear the increased demands that new software would make on smartphones, according to the authority. And, of course, these companies plan to appeal it, being disappointed with the decision, saying that they did not issue any update, and that they want people to have the best performance and best experience possible. And what is funny about this is they, last year Apple confirmed that it deliberately slowed down some older iPhone models because their battery performance diminished over time. Even though it argued that the move would prolong the life of the device. See, I have a Galaxy S5, and they have a Galaxy S9 out right now. And there's a reason why I have not upgraded, and that is because I can't afford it. I can't afford an $800 phone. And yeah, I know I've talked about the phone thing before, but ultimately I'm waiting until tax time, and I'll probably get whatever I want, or wait until Samsung releases, we're going to come out with this Samsung Galaxy X or Galaxy 10 or whatever they call it. And then I'll get the S9 at that time because it'll be half price. And then I can get 2 phones for the price of one instead of 1 phone. The other thing I'm going to probably try and do, because my phone's not under warranty anymore and it's basically a brick, is I might try and jailbreak my phone. I'm not sure if I want to try it or not, but I might also just wipe my phone back to factory and just not install any of the updates and then see how my phone performs, because it seems like my photo quality and speed of everything has gotten much slower and my battery life has just tanked. So I'm wondering if it has to do with the fact that the phone is got certain updates on it that are purposely killing it. And there's a lot of bloatware. There's just a lot of bloatware on these phones. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this whole thing pans out. Although I don't see much going on aside from the slap on the wrist. Something else that's fun in the technology realm is transportation. General Motors is letting people rent their cars for money. Because I guess there's a peer-to-peer car sharing service that will expand in 10 cities in the next few months. The mobility arm of GM, which is called Maven, launched this summer and is in Ann Arbor and Detroit, along with Chicago and Denver by the end of 2018. GM says it will be available in Baltimore, Boston, Washington, D.C., Jersey City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco as well. Basically, it allows owners to rent their cars by the hour daily, and they get a 60% cut of the cost of each rental. Says that in some cases, thousands of dollars per month, depending on what car they have and how often they make it available. So basically, you Uber your own car for GM to rent, and they pay you according to what you let people drive it for, which I would never do. I worked at a dealership. I worked at a Chevrolet dealership years ago, about 3 years ago at this point now, and coming up on that actually. But I used to loan out cars that were brand new. Whatever the main year was, they were brand new cars, and we would loan them out, and then we would sell them as a demo at the end of the 3,000 miles that would get put on them. But we would have instances where people would abuse it, and they would put there were people that put 7,000 miles on, or 6,000 miles. Oh, we drove it to Florida. We took a trip. Oh, we did this. We hauled this. We damaged this. And there's no way I would let somebody drive my car for a rental. That's just, yeah. I would not let somebody rent my car for a week or a month, or, even if I could net a few $100s, it's not worth it to me for that. They're saying, though, that for example, a 2018 Chevy Cruze for 7 days per month can net an owner $533, while a 2017 Sierra pickup can pull in $1,000. It's their suggested rates, but it says owners can set their own rates for rentals, which affects their potential earnings. It says that they have to have a model year 2015 or newer to be eligible, and has to go through an onboarding process that takes 4 to 6 hours, where keyless entry technology will be installed. Their cars can't have any open recalls on them, and manual transmissions are not allowed. It's basically an air bed and breakfast for cars. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. Well, also the Roddenberries, another technology thing here. There's a new holographic content push planned by Endeavor Partnership, which basically they're trying to push for a real life holodeck, more or less. Lightfield Lab has entered into an agreement with Endeavor and Roddenberry Entertainment, which are developing holographic content. I guess Lightfield Lab was founded in 2017 and has raised a decent chunk of capital to get underway, but their current form is a modular system made up of 2-foot-long prototype holographic display panels, basically like the outer piecing of the doorway, the arch, as it were. And they're basically trying to do this whole vision of a future with holographic TVs in the home and eventually mobile, and have a true holographic content display without the burden of 3D glasses or VR headsets, which this would be spectacular if they could do this. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with because they even state that the concept of the holodeck was extremely important to Gene Roddenberry, and Rod Roddenberry mentioned this in saying that he wants to see Star Trek technologies made real, and for the very first time believing that a real holodeck is no longer limited to science fiction. But I would definitely be down for this. I love the whole concept of having a holodeck. I mean, it would be awesome. Then, of course, Samsung unveils a leasing plan, updated sound system for LED cinema screens. It's supposed to be like some new technology, and they're basically trying to pitch this to cinemas. I don't know whether they're gonna go they're trying to do this LED cinema screen thing, but there really hasn't been anything new to draw that type of experience. I mean, we've got IMAX, we've got 4K, we've got all this crazy technology in movie theaters. I don't know if it would be worth switching from the current digital cinema packages type setup that they have for these LEDs. That would be a conversation I would have to get Powers in on, because I think that it depending, I mean, it could be good, but I don't know enough about it. But I think it's kind of an interesting concept. And then, of course, there's the Titanic, the second one. And they're saying it's going to set sail in 2022, following the same route as the original. And I made like this real tasteless joke at one point, using a gif of the movie Titanic where the ship's going down, and I says, I certainly hope not. And then I promptly deleted it, even though I'm saying it here. So it's dubbed the Titanic II and is set to make its first voyage in 2022, and it will welcome 2,400 passengers, 900 crew members, almost the exact same number of each on board the boat that sank in 1912. However, the ship will include an appropriate number of lifeboats, life jackets, and plenty of modern safety features. Hopefully they cannot text message while they're in the middle of an icy North Atlantic. But yeah, I don't know why they're so like stuck on this. I mean, this is also the name of a bad B flick, so but I guess it's costing them like $500 million to recreate, so I think that everybody's just making a mountain out of a molehill because of that stupid movie that came out years ago, and I get it, it made a lot of money, but I don't know. So, anyways, I'm going to move on to the Superhero Depot.
At this point, he probably is.
And we're on the Superhero Pop Culture Depot, and coming in first is they're finally bringing Lex Luthor to Supergirl as another villain. And this is almost, I don't know, this is almost as bad as some of their other tricks that they've done on the CW. I saw this coming a long time ago. There was no way that they weren't going to have them show up, just like Superman, just like I don't know, they're just kind of laying up a lot of stuff. Eventually, I think we're going to end up seeing either Green Lantern or Batman, and it's only a matter of time. You know, go figure. And then, of course, Gotham drops their image of Bane, which looks rather ridiculous. People were just bashing it when it came out. Again, I've kind of dropped Supergirl just because I just don't care. But I'm kind of interested as far as the Lex Luthor realm on that. And then as far as Gotham, I'm just kind of curious on where they take it as it ends its grand finale. And then, of course, Mark Hamill confirms that Luke will return in episode 9, but not saying in what fashion, and he doesn't have to grow the beard, so that just tells me that they're going to have him pretty clean as a Force ghost. And then he of course posted something on Twitter saying that he basically was like an addict that had quit using the Force, and because he went back to it, it was the Force that killed him. So, yeah. Oh, man. So, I don't know. It's crazy. Stuff on TV. And Wonder Woman 1984 is delayed, and in its place will be the new Terminator sequel, moving up to fill that vacated void of the 1984, because Wonder Woman is being pushed to the summer of 2020. And the Terminator, you get a shot of Sarah Connor along with the two new female leads with her, which looks rather interesting. Again, I'm just waiting for a trailer, but I'm kind of excited that Linda Hamilton is back in Terminator, which kind of brings me to say that Halloween, the new one, wasn't too bad. So there's that for you. All right, we're going to be moving on to the feature presentation, which is with DJ Valentine, where we talk about scripted podcasting, among other things. So without further ado, I'm going to send it over to that. There will be a part 2 on next week's show where we cover another set of conversation, which was originally all one conversation, but it spanned almost 2 hours, and so I figured I would alleviate that by making it 2 separate episodes, and kind of giving you a natural break in the conversation, as it were. So, without further ado, DJ Valentine and myself talking scripted podcasts.
And now our feature presentation.
Hello.
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 How is it going?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Fun times.
Fun times.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I was dared recently to do on a podcast for Halloween a couple of Dr. Seuss books in character.
Green eggs and ham.
they what was it, the one Blanchard
Pop
told me
on
to do?
top.
He's like red fish, blue fish. Old fish, new fish. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I gotta do that. I gotta do green eggs and ham, and I gotta do the Grinch
Hop
Stole
on
Christmas.
cop. Oh, the Grinch Stole Christmas. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I love that fucking movie.
Do that one with Megatron, and then have have like the weirdest voices, like for the kid, have Waspinator or something.
What happened to this? It's supposed to be a joyous time of year. These Decepticons are everywhere.
I know. Starscream's the Grinch.
I'm ending Christmas.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Who disrupts my coronation?
Coronations. Fuck it. This is bad comedy. All right.
But yeah, so I got to do that this week, so it'll be interesting.
That's an interesting idea. Decepticon Christmas.
Yes, I did one years ago. It was like a podcast on. It was a Christmas one, and I narrated it.
Oh jeez, that's awesome.
It was a Transformers. It was for Transformers Anonymous, which was like a really obscure name at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I think it was like during the early days of Geekcast Radio, but they were shooting for like some kind of a weird vibe with the show. I have it somewhere. I'm gonna have to dig that up now. Because like
repost it.
Yeah, repost it, because I don't even think I can find the show anymore, like on anything. It was from like 2010 or somewhere in that neighborhood. But me being weird, I save everything I do a voice for. So
I wish I did that.
I used to do deep thoughts on another podcast in the various character voices.
We're doing a sketch. Well, it's not a sketch. It's more of a game where it's kind of an ode to deep thoughts. I used to love fucking deep thoughts.
They're awesome. You know, they still do them, right? Like they're not on the show, but the guy has them on his website.
Oh, awesome! Perfect.
So I was actually pulling some of those, and I was doing voices for this geek podcast, the Just Us Geeks.
Mm-hmm.
For a little bit, I was doing the deep thoughts on their episodes, and I was doing like Charlie Sheen, Scourge, Waspinator, Soundwave, just, you know, in the most obscure, like dumbest things.
Fucking deep.
When I'm not winning, I'm sucking tiger blood. You know, just
fucking Charlie Sheen.
I know.
We were doing a sketch. We were doing a Blade Runner sketch, and I essentially set up the Blade Runner sketch, and I gave it to Jess. And I go, "You're Rutger Hauer here. Just make up anything you want. Put these 3 lines that he says in here, but always just kind of tail off into whatever you want." Because that's the joke of the sketch, is that he's just mentioning weird shit. And he just he didn't play it for me. He just gives me his audio. I'm going through it. I'm just like, and one of them is, like an underage Asian girl leaving Charlie Sheen's apartment in the rain. And I was like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? He goes, yeah, it just popped in my fucking head. So I was like, well, it's going in there. Now I got to fucking use it.
What was it? A narrator?
No, we were I find it and give it to you. It's one of our episodes we were redoing the roof scene from Blade Runner. And the whole joke is that, Rutger Hauer, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. And essentially, he says like these weird things in the movie. And I was like, what if he just kept saying weirder things? But I didn't write the weirder things. I just gave the concept to Justin just to say the lines that he says in the movie, but then keep saying other weird shit. Like he's like, what was it? One was a puppet show for a cat named Pablo or something. He just kept saying weirder and weirder things. And Matt is playing Harrison Ford, but he's essentially playing himself. He's just like, what? What are you talking about? So he just kept getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And one of them was like an underage Asian girl leaving Charlie Sheen's apartment in the rain. And I was like, well, gotta use that because it's the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's almost as funny as like the. I mean, it is just as funny, but it reminds me of when Jim Carrey was doing the Matthew McConaughey thing on SNL 40, where he's on the Celebrity Jeopardy thing, and he just shows up, and then there's like a voiceover. He says, "I don't really know if I'm here, or if any of us are really here." You know?
He's doing the fucking True Detective shit.
and Alex Trebek, Will Ferrell was going, "Did you bring yourself in on a voiceover?" Like, and he's just standing there. And he says, "All I know is my Lincoln is parked outside with the keys still inside."
I do remember. I remember him vaguely being Rust Cole. I remember that. Just vaguely, like, wait a minute. Is he doing fucking True Detective?
But yeah, it was funny. And so like when you were saying that, I was picturing like a narrator.
Yeah.
saying,
I don't know if you've ever seen Blade Runner. It's the climax of the movie. So I guess spoiler alert for Blade Runner that came out in 1970, whatever.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that long ago,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
But at the end of the movie, like Harrison Ford is on the roof and Rutger Hauer is a robot and he's dying apparently. But he's like saying like, I've seen all these things that you guys wouldn't believe. And he's like just naming them off to Harrison Ford. And they're just weird shit. Like I've seen C-beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. Like shit like that. You're like, what the fuck? So that gave me the idea of, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So I'm just going to tell Justin to say whatever in this moment. And it came out pretty good.
I've seen cats do things you would never imagine. Watching camels and bowing before dogs.
Right. I'm telling you, if you watch the scene and then you watch the sketch, it is not. It's pretty. You won't be able to tell. You won't be. It's the same thing. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss it because it's the same. I go. Just make sure you sound like Rutger Hauer. Just do the Hauer. But just bleed in a little bit of weirdness. A little bit went into Charlie Sheen and an Asian girl leaving an underage Asian girl leaving Charlie Sheen's apartment in the rain. That is etched into my brain for the rest of the time.
That would fit really good with Hannibal Lecter too.
Oh.
Giving you horrible ideas for the next scripted.
No. There is no horrible ideas. That's now into the mental Rolodex. So I gotta do something. I've been meaning to do something with Hannibal Lecter. So
I require a tasty program, Clarice.
The thing about Hannibal Lecter, which leaves him open for parody, is that he just rambles into these stories that make like
you're like.
You're talking about fucking pigeons and shit, like roller pigeons, Clarice. They fly up and then they come down. What are you talking about? Right? So you can go off on a tangent and it would make perfect sense because he's a crazy person.
It would work great too.
I'm looking as I talk to you. I'm looking for this fucking this episode. I can't remember the number.
We're just gonna roll with it. This works really great for the episode. So,
I think I found it. Hold on one second. I'm pulling it up. That's the other one. Is it this one? I don't remember. I can't remember which one it was because we I don't make the banners for our show, and that usually I can tell by the banners, but I can't. Nope, that's a different one. Yeah, I have to look. But yeah, I just remember when you said Charlie Sheen, that's the first thing that always comes to mind is that stupid ass sketch that we came up with at the end of a day watching. I think I had just seen Blade Runner 2049, and I was like, we got to do something with Blade Runner 2049. And then Matt was like, hey, let's just do Blade Runner, the original one. And then that was it came to mind because I was like, I don't know if you've ever seen the original Blade Runner, has some weird shit in there.
Yeah.
some weird, the woman with a fucking snake. And
I was watching that one just before watching the new one, just because I was like, I really don't know what any of the cult following behind it was.
It's a beautiful looking movie. It's very like, it's not overly, what's the word I would say? It's not overly, like artistic. It's just a very beautifully shot. It's noir. I think it's just grown in the fact that nobody understood what they were trying to do back in the day. And now that you look at it and go, oh, this is what they were trying to do. This was really ahead of its time because you wouldn't get a lot of shit. You wouldn't get like Ghost in the Shell and shit without, Blade Runner going all crazy. But yeah. But there is weird shit in there. There is Rutger Hauer doing an Asian man parody, which is pretty funny.
Yeah,
so that's
it. I watched it and I was like, okay, it looks good. I was like, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm good with that. Like,
it's just a man killing robots. That's all it is. It's not a really, it's not a real. I think the second movie, the 2049, is a little bit more thematical. The biggest hiccup or hitch with the first one is Harrison Ford a robot? Is he really? Is he? You never know. He has the reflective eye thing because these robots have like dog eyes in the light, and there's one shot for some reason that Harrison Ford has the dog eyes. Was that on purpose? Was it an accident? Well, why does Edward James almost know have a unicorn origami when Harrison Ford was having dreams about unicorns? Is this memories and that's the biggest like symbolism. The second movie is a whole bunch of like symbolism, like and it's fucking Roger Deakins, which is it's like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Every shot is a painting. Like you can take every shot from 2049 and put it on your wall.
Oh
like
yeah,
every shot.
and the funny thing about it is I think when I was watching that, I was like, well, Harrison Ford's definitely not a replicant.
See, now
and or at least as far as it seemed. And then you look at Gosling in there, and I'm like, he could be.
Yeah, there was I think one of them say he is, and one of them says he's not. So I'm not 100% anymore. I think it makes more sense if he is not for the second movie because of the whole. There's that conversation. Jared Leto has a conversation with Harrison Ford in the movie, and it's like, is it this or is it this? And like the second thing that Jared Leto gives him, like the scenario of what if he is or if he's not, this made a lot of sense, but it doesn't make sense for me thematically. I was like, it'd be great if it was like a man fell in love with a robot. So if he's not a replicant, then it makes more sense. If he's a robot that was programmed to fall in love with somebody, it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I want to believe in hope. I want to believe in love, damn it.
But it made more sense that he did fall in love with a robot.
Yeah. That's the better movie.
Yeah, it happens. It's just an everyday scenario, You always fall in with a robot. But
if your robot looks like Sean Young, circa 19 whatever. Oh, I found it actually. I found the clip. Hold on. I'm going to rewind it and play it for you so you can hear Justin do the best Rutger Hauer of all time. Hold on. Here he goes. Play it. I'll turn it up a little bit. Oh, I got to. I had to. Oh, I got to back it up here. Sorry, you can cut all this out. I apologize. Here we go.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
What do you mean, you people? Seeing as I'm the only one on this roof and...
You're interrupting me.
Sorry. Continue.
Attack ships on fire of the shoulder of Orion. A dwarf filleting a dead donkey at a New Mexico carnival.
Wait, what?
Republicans in a truck stop bathroom, they call it.
I repeat, What?
I've watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. A puppet show at a funeral for a mouse named Pablo.
Are you just saying words now? You're just saying words.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears of an underage Asian girl leaving Charlie Soon's apartment in the rain.
Now that I believe.
Time to die.
Are these?
So every time I hear Charlie Sheen, that's all I remember is
A puppet show.
A puppet show for a mouse named Pablo. It's like, what?
He's like, are you just saying words now?
Just saying words. And most of that, I think like 40% of that's written. I think Matt's dialogue is written, but essentially most of these sketches that we do, as you know, I write them, but sometimes there's like a little like leeway. It's like, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Go crazy, do whatever the fuck you want.
So how often do you write these?
Well, every episode I have to write at least. I mean, when the show first started, back in the day, we decided, well, we need an announcer, and I was like, we'll make it like a robot announcer that always insults us. So like whoever would hate our show, their announcer would be thinking what they're saying, so it would kind of curb the hating. So if you ever wish to listen to our show, it's essentially Julie, as we call her. She insults every single sketch we do, or us, every single time. And she says weird shit. So I have to write all of her dialogue every episode. And at first it was like, well, we'll just have her repeat the same thing. And it's like, to make her more fun, we'll have her say something different every time. So every episode I have to write her dialogue out and her entrances out or whatever, and her outros or whatnot. And that kind of turned into making them different every time, turned into, hey, why don't we just have her throw to me doing a Jeff Goldblum impersonation? And that turned into us doing a Masters of the Universe impersonation of the opening credit sequence of that cartoon show. And then it turned into, hey, let's do a Saw sketch. I think that was the first sketch we really did, was like a joke about Saw. And that turned into, let's do a joke about Usual Suspects. And it just kind of went on and on. I think the biggest one we did was the Die Hard one. And then Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which took fucking forever to edit because I had to make Justin sound like Ben Affleck's robot voice or whatever. That took forever. But yeah, most of the time now we do I think we've missed one sketch once because I wrote one. It was a Shaft sketch where I was singing like Isaac Hayes, making fun of Armond White. But Matt's wife thought it was a little too mean-spirited. So I was like, you know what? Maybe she's right. And I just took it out. But every other episode we have a sketch now. For the last, I think, 50? I would say. So yeah, it's essentially like you were on the 100th episode where I had to write 5 sketches for that one episode, which pretty much burned my brain to oblivion.
I remember that.
I mean, it's funny because that started because I was like, I need somebody to do Yippee-ki-yay motherfucker as Kermit the Frog, and you're like, I could do that. I was like, oh, fucking perfect. And I was just gonna keep going where it was just gonna be Die Hard, but I was like, you know what? I think we could do way more. The concept of the Fox Disney thing. We could do so much shit with this. I can make which I regret. We never made an Avatar joke because Avatar is not owned by Disney. But I was like, I can go through every fucking movie that Fox has, and there's so many that are iconic that Disney can own, and I can just drop a fucking cartoon character in there, and it makes fucking sense. So I was like, once we did the Die Hard one when you did the Kermit, it was so fucking perfect. You nailed it. It was so good. I was like, fuck, it's so good. But damn it, we could just keep going. We could do. I don't know why My Cousin Vinny came to mind, but I think my favorite one is My Cousin Vinny and Goofy. I don't know. Gosh, that shit. Because I was like, well, I could get some. I was gonna get Jeanette Ward to do what's the name of the woman? Aunt May, whatever her name. I forgot. What the hell? Why am I forgetting Aunt May's name? The new Aunt May, the
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. Sorry, I keep saying, thinking Margot Robbie for some reason. I was gonna have Jeanette Ward do Marissa Tomei's. I was like, you know what? Let me just actually use the audio from the movie, and it will make it even more ridiculous. I was trying to go for more as ridiculous as fucking possible. But yeah, that those sketches are usually kind of come from either an idea Matt will have, or I will have, or Justin will have, and then I just kind of like make it. I kind of like put the game plan out there, and then if there is room, I think Matt wrote a sketch where he was like, we should be waiting for. I think it was our January episode this year. We should have an episode where we're looking for a new studio, and it's places in movies. And I was like, okay. And that's all he really said. And I just wrote the sketch around whatever the fuck he said. So it's like we're in the Citadel in Mad Max Fury Road, and then we're in the fucking office in Wolf of Wall Street or whatever. So that's essentially how we get around to sketches. It's usually a crazy fucking idea. Like I asked you recently if you did Nicolas Cage because somebody wanted to be on the show, and I was like, who's your favorite actor? They're like, oh, or who would you like to make a sketch about? And they said Nicolas Cage, and I was like, National Treasure seems like it's ripe to be made fun of, but I'm trying to figure out if I can find a Nicolas Cage person. And that's why I asked you, because you do like 7 billion voices.
I try to do 7 billion voices, but yeah, Nicolas Cage is like one of those, like that for me. Like Christopher Walken is difficult. Like Shatner's is kind of difficult. Because like those are the two that I would love to do. I would love to do Walken, just because I can't get his cadence down, or like how he's.
His cadence, because I was saying in another show that Jeff Goldblum's the new Walken.
Yeah.
So I've got his cadence down, but Walken's cadence is hard to get down. Goldblum was way easier. Walken is all over the fucking place.
I know. Well, in Shatner's, you can kind of figure out too, but it's getting his voice down.
Yeah, he has this. Rough, I mean, it's kind of changed too. Like his Denny Crane is different than his Kirk.
Well, yeah, he got deeper voiced as the years have progressed. I mean, dude's almost 90. Still looks like he's in his 60s.
How old is Shatner?
89.
He's got to be what? 80? No.
Yes.
He's not 89.
He is 89. He's the oldest one of the.
I believe William.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yep, I'm still here.
He's the oldest one of what? He's 89 for real?
Yeah, he's 89. He's the oldest Trek cast member.
Holy shit. Because if you put them next to each other, you'd be like, oh, yeah, Patrick Stewart's older than William Shatner. But he's not.
Yeah, Shatner's 10 years older than Patrick Stewart, or 11 years older.
Good God. Good God. He's aging pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, and yet Patrick Stewart got a new TV show on Star Trek. And Shatner's like...
I cannot wait for that show. I can't
like,
wait. But number one...
I will curse you.
This is the line. They go farther. What does he say in the First Contact? This far, no further.
This ends here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to convince somebody because they're not Trekkers. They've heard of Star Trek, but they don't know Star Trek. I'm like, yeah, man, Patrick Stewart's like kind of like a badass. Like when he was younger, he was like a sex symbol. And like in First Contact, he's like ripped. And like Patrick Stewart, you're talking about Professor X. I'm like, yeah, man, throw on fucking First Contact. He's like doing pull-ups on a pipeline, fighting a Borg. They're like, nah. And I showed him the clip. He's like, that's Patrick Stewart. I'm like, yeah, Patrick Stewart's a pimp. That's a bad man.
That's right. He took out all the X-Men with his brain in Logan.
He was more manly than Riker.
Yeah.
Who can't sit in a chair right for some weird fucking reason.
Because I guess it hurt his back, so he had to do that weird, like...
Is that why?
Yeah.
I never knew. I guess it's like Martin Sheen in The West Wing. I'm a big Aaron Sorkin fan, so I'm like watching The West Wing, and like if you ever watch Martin Sheen, I guess on The West Wing he does it more than any other thing he's on. He puts it on his coat weird. Like he does it in this cool weird way. I was like, that's awesome. I'll start putting my coat on like that. Like he flips it over his head and he slides it in, and it's like 2 moves and it's on. And I found out it's because his one arm is longer than the other, and he from childbirth or something, so he can't put on a coat like a normal person. He has to flip it over his head. And I was like, I just thought it was cool, but apparently it's an affliction that he has that I never knew about.
It's like Riker's affliction. He can't sit in a chair. And he started teaching the Riker maneuver to everybody else later in the show.
My God, it's funny.
I saw clips of like LeVar Burton doing it too.
LeVar Burton was, of course he was. See, I used to watch Generation right around the Locutus time back in the day when it first came out. That's how old I am. But I never noticed it. And then somebody had like a video montage of him doing. I'm like, oh my God, this has been in front of me the entire time. I just never noticed this.
Easter egg.
Crazy. this Easter egg that Riker has been sitting in chairs weird. I just never. It's like there's a scene in Red Dawn, the Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, speaking of the devil, C. Thomas Howell movie, where they're fighting on. They're not like they're having an argument. It's like right after they escape the town after the Russians attack or whatever. And there's a shot where Patrick Swayze, I almost said Stewart, is arguing with his younger brother or whatever, and he's trying to put his hand in his pocket, but he's wearing one of those parkas where the pocket is zipped. So he keeps trying to put his hand in his pocket, but his hand keeps sliding up. I gotta find this clip. It doesn't do it like twice. He does it like 7 times. It's like, but he's not breaking character. He's still yelling at his brother, but he's trying to do it cool. Like he's trying to put his hand in his pocket, but he can't because he doesn't want to look down to see that his fucking parka is zipped closed.
Yet somebody didn't want to reshoot that scene, which makes it better.
Because it was such a good take, because he is not like breaking character. Swayze's in the moment. Okay, he's delivering the line. He's like, we don't surrender, we don't go back, and he can't not put his hand in his mouth. It's so good. I gotta find this clip. It's hypnotizing to watch because you can't not look at his hand anymore. It might ruin the movie for you. If I show you the scene, it might ruin Red Dawn for you. Avenge me over the great.
It would make it great actually, because I find those scenes funny. Plus, the editor in me would just find that humorous. Like the editor got one over on the director and was like, "I'm putting this version in."
You ever heard what's his name? Marshall, Pretty Woman director. There's scenes in Pretty Woman where like she's like waking up and she has like a pancake in her mouth. They cut to Richard Gere and they cut back. She has like a waffle in her mouth. They cut back, and it's like a sausage link. And they asked him like, and he's on the commentary talking about it. Marshall? I can't remember his first name for some reason. Penny Marshall's. Whatever. Anyway, and he's like, I just go for the best take. I don't give a shit about continuity. I think Scorsese's also like that, where he's just like, I'm going for the take. And if the take is good, they'll just leave all these huge continuity errors in there because they don't care. They don't give a shit about that. So he just gave a crap about that. So I'm thinking the director of Red Dawn is like, look, I'm not gonna get a better Swayze than this. I gotta keep the hand pocket thing. I gotta keep it going.
It's funny because like it doesn't normally dawn on me the first time I watch a movie. My wife, though, it'll hit her the first time she sees it. Like, what the heck is this guy's problem? Like, she'll find like the continuity errors.
That stuff.
Oh yeah, she picks that stuff out like right away. Like we used to play like a lot of those Wii games where it was like a contest to kind of see whose cognitive ability was better at certain types of games. And
you're married to Sherlock Holmes. That's
yeah, so she would figure that crap out like before me. But if it was like a word unscramble, or if it was like the date of a movie or something, like a trivia game type thing, I would beat her every time. Like, but she could decipher like the puzzle on the screen before I could. Like, I'm like, I don't have a clue what that is. Like,
Garry Marshall, the guy's name. My brain is farting right now. But yeah, there was a scene in 24 which I watched incessantly, and it was for like minutes. It wasn't like a 20-second continuity error. It was minutes where Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland, he's like running through CTU, and he has a machine gun, and there's no clip in it. And I'm looking, I'm like, does Jack know there's no clip in there? Am I supposed to not see that there's no clip? And like, he's firing bullets and there's no clip, and I'm like, nobody noticed that there's no clip. Jack, Kiefer, nobody, the director, the edit, nobody noticed there's no clip in the gun, and he's firing like not like one bullet in the chamber. He's firing like 30 bullets, nothing in it. I don't understand. But yeah, those things are funny when you see them.
Yeah, it's like watching the new Star Trek movies and then watching Star Wars. You're like, J.J. Abrams made his demo reel on the one film, and
Yeah. Oh yeah. That the first Star Wars or Star Trek 2009 is essentially his demo reel. That is. I mean, with the Chris Pine two sons looking at the Enterprise being built in the field shot. This is when okay, this is this is him playing. Hey, I'd love to do Star Wars, guys.
Warp speed's not warp speed here. We got light speed, man. It's different.
Hey, I'm a JJ apologist. I like those films. I like I'm probably I told you, I think I'm the one Into Darkness fan that's kicking around here.
Yeah,
So,
that's yeah.
I
I'll leave
know,
that alone.
I understand. Everybody who I know, I think Tim Costin first time watching, he's like, you like Into Darkness? I'm like, it might be because Benedict Cumberbatch is a pimp, but I don't know. And the great Peter Weller's in that movie, and Peter Weller, holy shit.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
You can give that guy any line of dialogue; it sounds freaking awesome.
I was just like RoboCop.
Right. He says lines in that movie where it's just like, God damn, you're fucking dope, Peter Weller.
You're coming with me.
You fly that ship to the edge of Klingon space, you fire that missile and get the hell out of there. he's like in a different genre. He's like in the Dragnet genre in the Star Trek.
It would be funny if they put Arnold in his place in that movie. It would have just made it that much funnier.
Oh, man, Arnold is an admiral in fucking Starfleet. Ooh.
Yeah. You're like, come to the chopper. Come to the shuttle.
Kirk, you son of a bitch. Come
you
here.
son of a bitch. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Well, my dad's dead. Oh, well, that sucks.
That sucks.
That sucks.
Stop being a baby.
Don't be a baby.
I think he could work. I think, especially now, grizzled Schwarzenegger, like how he is now, gray-haired and still chomping at the cigar. I think he could be in Starfleet. I mean,
definitely.
If Tyler effing Perry's in Starfleet, why the hell not Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, I know. I would be so down for that. Actually, I hope that he gets in the Picard show.
You just want to see with Patrick Stewart and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's what you want.
That's exactly what I want. And then John Delancey just shows up and he's like, just for the hell of it. Let's see what happens. And puts Terminator
I don't know why I'm here. Here, Patrick. Here you go. What is this? I'm an actor. I was in Dune.
Dune. I remember watching that movie. That movie was not that great.
With the great Sting. Come on.
It was good. It was good. They're going to redo that movie again.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve, the Blade Runner 2049 guy. He's doing it. Maybe he's probably the only one that probably could get me into Dune because I'm not a big Dune guy. I just remember it looking like a stage play, and it was very weird. And hearing that David Lynch was like offered Return of the Jedi, and like wondering like what would that have been like? What would David Lynch's Return of the Jedi been? Somebody needs to do a sketch on that. I did the Wes Anderson X-Men thing. Do the David Lynch Return of the Jedi thing.
I would love to do voices on just anything anymore. I'm having fun with any of these sketches. So,
oh God. I'm trying to think. We're doing one right now. I just wrote it, and Justin, I think, sent me the audio. It's a play on the Daily Planet. We did a sketch a while back where it was Superman and Lex Luthor, and Justin was like, "I like this sketch. We should keep going and kind of make it." We're doing political humor, but we're kind of blending it into like Metropolis, so you don't know that we're making fun of the actual politics of the world today, kind of thing. So I was like, yeah, we'll do the Daily Planet. And it came out pretty well. That, and we just did a Wrath of Khan sketch, which was very, very difficult because I had to do Dying Spock, which is pretty rough in the voice.
Yeah.
Which is essentially just like, what's the ship out of danger? That stuff.
Yeah.
But you do that like 20 times. It's like,
he's already gone.
He's already gone. He's dead already.
He's dead already.
When I was writing that sketch, I wanted to back it all the way up because that whole scene. Whereas, like, Kirk is like watching the viewfinder or whatever the fuck is the view screen, and he's watching the nebula, and he looks and sees the chair. I just remember that moment when I was little, when Kirk sees the chair is empty. It's like, oh shit, Jim, you better get down here. You better hurry. That part for me is so good. That whole sequence is so good. Like from then all the way to his was the most.
Yeah.
That whole like 20 minutes is human. So good. I wanted to parody the whole thing, but it was too long.
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer is actually really good at what he does.
Yeah, is he doing stuff for Enterprise, or is he was just like a consultant? Because I thought he was doing something with
He was a consultant
not Enterprise, Discovery. Sorry, new one.
He was a consultant on Discovery, but he's also working on a Khan prequel series.
Oh fuck! Please wait for television.
Yes, for CBS All Access.
And who's he getting for Khan? Can it be Benicio del Toro this time? For Christ's sake!
It would at least look closer then.
Oh, you know who would be a good Khan?
Buried alive.
Buried alive. Pedro Pascal would be a pretty dope Khan. Or maybe the guy who plays Xerxes. What's his name? Oh God, he was in Love Actually. I gotta look him up. But you gotta get a Latin guy. That's the only thing I didn't like about Cumberbatch playing, because Cumberbatch was playing Khan. He had the attitude of Khan. We didn't have the suaveness of Khan. Khan is a suave motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think that's what bothered me so much about Cumberbatch. Plus, he was in everything at that time.
Yeah, he was the
de facto actor of the year
of whatchamacallit of movies at the time.
He was the voice of the dragon in the Hobbit movies.
He's the only thing good about the Hobbit movies, though. You can't blame him for that. He's like, look, he's pretty good.
I was leaving him alone on that. It was just the poor implementation of like, he's not Khan, but he is. Like
Rodrigo Santoro is the voice of is Xerxes. I think he might do a good Khan. You gotta get a Latin, suave, cunning guy. And if Into Darkness, though I love Benedict Cumberbatch's Khan, if they would have did what they wanted to do, which was use Benicio del Toro, I think that movie would have been 20 times better.
I agree with you, though.
Because that'd have been so fucking badass. But damn, Nicholas Meyer Khan miniseries. So is it gonna be on?
CT
is it gonna be on CT Alpha 5? Is it gonna be CT Alpha 5? I don't know you.
Even though he never met Chekhov.
No, they say that Chekhov was part of the security team that ushered him down to see the Alpha 5. That's what some retcon I read. I was like, get out of here. Chekhov wasn't there.
Chekhov wasn't there. He wasn't even cast yet.
He was like 7 years old at the time. But no, I think that would be pretty dope. You just got to pick you got to pick what era. If it's a prequel, are they going to have it when he was, because he's talking about, I was a prince. Are you going to do that? Are you going to do the City Alpha 5 survival TV show, which it might be a little boring? Are you going to do are you going to go with the John Harrison thing where he's just like a freaking sleeper agent from Starfleet? Which one are you going to go with?
I think it would be interesting to see him on Earth in modern time to see what he does.
Oh, fuck.
But it's going to be a limited series, so I'm wondering where they're going to go with it. But they said that about Picard, too, and now that's a multi-season series, as long as Patrick Stewart lives.
If you get Patrick Stewart, you give him... And McAvoy's talking about, I'll do it free. I'll play young Picard on that show, because him and Patrick Stewart are, like, close. So, I mean, and James McAvoy is a pretty cool dude. So, yeah, I'm all in on the Patrick Stewart one. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this Khan prequel. Now I'm, like, super interested. Like, fuck, what would it be?
Yeah, I keep super involved with that. They're going to have a Starfleet Academy show as well. It's going to be basically CW high school.
I don't want to see Riverdale Academy. No.
Yeah. And then they're going to have a Star Trek animated series.
Like, what matters who's doing it? Like, if it was... I don't know if I told you this before, but you know who I want to do a Star Trek movie? I want Sorkin to do a Star Trek movie.
That could be interesting.
Over Tarantino, for the simple fact that if you've ever seen The West Wing, I brought it up before, The West Wing is Star Trek. It is literally the same show. The Enterprise is the White House, Sheen is Kirk, Toby is Bones. It's the same shit. Everybody has their little character arcs. It's the same thing, and it's essentially them walking through the White House, which is like walking through the Enterprise, handling problems every week, having a lesson. And Aaron Sorkin's a brilliant writer. I think he would be. I mean, Quentin Tarantino, he's supposed to be doing this Star Trek thing. What happened with that? Is that still happening?
Supposedly,
it was like real hot for like a couple like weeks, and then I haven't heard hide nor hair of it. I know he's doing the the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing right now, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what's going on.
Well, in the other truck movie for the Abrams version, the Kelvin timeline seems to have buckled too, because they can't get their two lead Chris's to come back.
You don't need. I don't want to have Hemsworth come back. George Kirk was. We're good with that. I don't want them doing any more time travel. Stop doing time travel.
That's a crutch that they've done in enough movies.
And I mean, if season 3 of The Flash has proven anything, time travel, if you do it too much.
Well, they did it in 4, 7, 8 of the Star Trek films already, and then they did it in the 2009.
What was it best used? Would you say Voyage Home or First Contact?
I don't know. They were both invented for different reasons.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward Voyage Home mainly because it seemed like it was more interesting to me. Because when First Contact did it, they went back in time, but they're in the woods. They weren't around society really. In Voyage Home, he's like, double dumbass on you. They're like walking through the city and they're dealing with fucking people and trying to get. We don't got any money. That was like interesting to me.
These are not your damn whales. Who told you that? George and Gracie.
George and Gracie told me that. With what's her name? We never heard from that woman again. She joined Starfleet and she just did some fucking see around the galaxy.
she went on another exploration ship, got shot down by Klingons.
Oh, is that what happened?
I don't know. I'm just spitballing it.
You just retconned her life.
Yep. What a waste of a trip from the 20th century to the 23rd century. You're gonna die.
Yeah, I kind of like. I think I like Voyage Home. What was the other time I used time travel? I know First Contact. I know Voyage Home.
Generations.
Oh yeah. Is that time travel or is it like a fantasy world?
It was a MacGuffin to bring Kirk into modern day.
See, the thing about the Nexus and the Generations is almost like I'm getting really nerdy here, but everything past the point of Picard being in the Nexus probably is not happening. So everything, all that stuff, First Contact, all that stuff is in Picard's fantasy world, and the Enterprise they're all stranded on that planet, and Picard's on the fucking rock somewhere, because it wasn't like a time travel device. It was like a fantasy generator or something, wasn't it? I'm unclear how the Nexus works.
It's a fantasy generator, but what it was is it pulls part of their life essence, as it were, into the Nexus, and so like even if they're there, they can exist basically on the two planes, but they're not fully there. It's really weird because Guinan was in there.
Yeah, and she's like, I've been in there.
And he's like, come back with me. Help me stop soaring.
Help me stop soaring.
And then she's like, I can't. I'm already there. Like, I'm crashed on the planet. Like, I can't help you. And he's
which means that where he isn't reality. So everything he did to fix, stop soaring, never happened. That's what that part makes me think, that everything after he gets sucked up in the Nexus when Sauron wins, essentially, all the movies after that, and Tom Hardy Nemesis, all that stuff, Insurrection, doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. It's all fantasy.
Retcon. But
Picard is still on that rock. Kirk is still dead somehow.
Well, Kirk was alive in the Nexus then.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's not a member of the Borg, as one of his books said.
Yeah, the Return.
Did they say the Borg retrieved his body and made him like I forget what his Borg name was.
The Romulans retrieved his body and infused him with Borg nanites because they were experimenting with Borg technology, and resurrected him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then by the end of the book, like the Defiant class Enterprise D,
mm-hmm.
that they got to fly around in, which was the USS Monitor in the book. Yes, I've read all of the Shatner books.
Wow.
Long time ago. It's been a long time. Man. So anyways, they weren't that bad. It got more obscure and like stupid the longer it went, but because they went into the preservers. Like the mirror universe was just after Kirk came back the second or the third time, because he dies again at the end of the Return, and then he gets resurrected because they cleaned his body of the nanites, and they all the Borg. There was like basically a Borg recycling facility that that basically scrubbed him, and he's good as, clean bill of health. And then they go back to his like Ashes of Eden book, where he had the girlfriend that was like part Klingon and Romulan mixture, and
wow, this is all Shatner's doing. This is all Shatner's writing.
Yeah, this is Shatner and the Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens books, and so then they do the mirror universe stuff where he meets Tiberius, who's like stranded on a rock somewhere, and then you get to see like the mirror TNG crew and a lot of stuff like that, and so. And it's with the Enterprise E and everything else. Shatner's character meets up with old man McCoy and Spock and Scotty still.
I remember him on Star Trek Generations. Star Trek Next Generation. DeForest Kelly and that weird pancake makeup.
Yeah,
when he was really, really old. The only thing I'd say I liked about, what was the name of the one that Shatner directed? The
Final Frontier.
Final Frontier. The only thing I really, really liked about that movie is the campfire scene where he was like, "Weren't you afraid?" And he's like, "No, because I wasn't alone. I always known that if I die, I'll die alone." Because that movie and Generations are the ones I don't like the most, because of Kirk dying. But when Kirk died, it made me remember that scene where he was like, "Oh, he was alone. He was alone on that rock, and there was no Spock, there was no Scotty. He was alone." But I'm not a big fan of Generations. I'm not a big fan of Final Frontier, but I do like those. Final Frontier has like moments where I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, that's pretty cool." But I think as a whole, it's kind of like,
yeah,
the God with a starship thing kind of.
There were elements of the Final Frontier I liked, and it was more so like the shuttlecraft stuff, and then the seeing them in the field, seeing them break out of jail and the Enterprise, and then the campfire stuff, but and like the anti-gravity boots. We're going up 78 decks, even though you can't go vertically that high in the Enterprise because, you're in the wrong section of the ship. But
yeah, I think when the movies kind of, I think that's why Wrath of Khan to me is just so awesome. When they stick to ship stuff, I think that's when they're like hitting on all cylinders, when they're actually doing the submarine attack stuff, when where are they, that stuff is where I'm like, I'm in, and they brought that, Nicholas Meyer brought that back with Undiscovered Country with Christopher Plummer, whereas the ship to ship fighting stuff, and that had a little intrigue on the other side, but I love it when they're doing that stuff. Don't wait for the translation. Answer the
question.
Good old
Tell me it now.
Tell me it now. I am as constant as the
Northern Star. I'd give real money if he'd shut up.
Shut up. That movie's good, man.
I know. I love Undiscovered Country. That's like my favorite Trek film. It
should have made it Saavik, man. They should have made the villain Saavik. It would have brought it all full circle.
Especially because she was like kind of incompetent in the second Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And
she was she incompetent? She kind of came up with one. I liked her character in Wrath of Khan.
I liked her character, but I think I don't know. There were aspects of her character I liked in Wrath of Khan, and then an aspect I liked in
Search for Spock.
The Search for Spock, but it also kind of was jarring because you had to change an actress.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been better if they'd been able to carry her over. But
right.
She was like, "No, I'm not doing that."
And if they changed her before, just have Sex and the City be Saavik again. Just call her Saavik, because it kind of didn't make sense with all the connections that she was having with Spock. It was like, Spock, you kind of just. But if you look at that, if you just watch that movie again and just ignore every fact and just make it Saavik, everything has more weight. The fact that Spock is like, he catches her and he's doing the Vulcan mind meld with her, that it's way more intense, especially with her and Kirk, because when she has that line where she's like being found out on the bridge and she's like, they killed your son, she was there, Saavik was there, you know what I'm saying? She was right there in the moment, because in the moment she's just on the radio, your son is dead, and that was it. But if it led to her wanting to erase the Klingons because maybe she had some feelings for Kirk's son or something like that, it would have made more sense to me. I just think it was a miss. That's the biggest missed opportunity for Undiscovered. Everything else is great. I mean, I like that movie a lot. It's probably my second favorite of the original movies. But it just, man, every time I watch, I'm like, God, it should be Saavik. So it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I could definitely see that now that you mentioned that. Just working with that film, it would add a lot more weight to it.
Yeah. It would make the conspiracy a little bit more conspiracy-y.
I'll show you the rainbow connection.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope that you found something of value in here. Let me know what you guys think on geekcastradio.com. on the episode post, and tell me what you guys want to see on another episode. After this episode, we'll have another episode with DJ Valentine, followed by Mike Booth Ninja Powers. So get in any of your questions, your comments, your suggestions for topics. We will be recording next week, I think midweek, so get your information in sooner rather than later. And until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.